Hi guys, welcome to Sosin classes. This is Hima Hegde presenting before you the current and contemporary affairs in anthropology. To start with, we have the Maasai tribes. The Maasai tribe are an indigenous ethnic group in Africa of semi-nomadic people settled in Kenya and northern Tanzania. Due to their distinct traditions, customs, and dress, and their residence near the many national game parks of East Africa, the Maasai are among the foremost African ethnic groups and are known internationally because of their links to the national parks and reserves. Coming to the language, Ma, a language derived from the Nilo-Saharan related to Dinka and Nuer. They also speak the official languages of Tanzania and Kenya, that is Swahili and English. Population. So coming to the population, it is estimated that the Maasai make up the population of around 9 lakh people. Although the Kenyan and Tanzanian government have established programs to encourage the Maasai to leave behind their traditional semi-nomadic lifestyle, the Maasai people have carried on their age-old traditions and customs. However, this is changing, albeit slowly. According to the tribe's own oral history, the Maasai tribe originated north of Lake, that is Turkana, northwest Kenya, in the lower Nile Valley. They began migrating south in the 15th century and arrived in the long trunk of land stretching across central Tanzania and North Kenya during the 17th and 18th century. The Maasai territory reached its most dominant size in the 19th century when they covered most of the Great Rift Valley and adjacent lands from Dodoma and Mount Marsabit. Maasai society is firmly patriarchal in nature, with elderly Maasai men, sometimes joined by retired elders, determining most major matters for the Maasai tribes. The Maasai people are monotheistic and their god is named Engai or Enkai. For Maasai people living a traditional way of life, the end of life is virtually without a formal funeral ceremony and the dead are left out in the fields for scavengers. Burial has in the past been reserved for great chiefs only, since it is believed by the Maasai that burial is harmful for the soil. Traditional Maasai people's lifestyle concentrates on their cattle, which make up the primary source of food. Amongst the Maasai and several other African ethnic groups, the measure of a man's wealth is in terms of children and cattle, so the more the better. A man who has plenty cattle but not many children is considered to be poor, and vice versa. A Maasai myth says that God afforded them all the cattle on earth, resulting in the belief that rustling from other tribes is a matter of claiming what is rightfully theirs, a practice that has now become much less common. Let us now discuss anthropology and climate change. Natural science disciplines ranging from climatology to oceanography and from geophysics to biogeography have been evolved in research on climate change and its implications for sustainability. But over the past few decades, anthropologists have examined these same issues from a rather different perspective. Even earlier, physical anthropologists and archaeologists had begun examining the role of primarily natural climate change in biocultural evolution of humans in Africa and their subsequent dispersal to Eurasia, Australia, and the Americas. Climate change appears to have played a prominent role in the formation of various civilizations, the occupation or abandonment of different regions over time, and the collapse of major civilizations and indigenous societies. Margaret Mead appears to have been the only anthropologist at the conference and perhaps the only social scientist as well in a meeting largely attended by physical and natural scientists and public health experts. While Mead did not encourage the fellow anthropologists to work on climate change per se, her involvement in the conference foreshadowed the beginning. During the 1990s, the anthropologists Steve Raynor as well as Mary Douglas and the archaeologists Carol Cumway and Brian Fagan laid foundations to the anthropology of climate change. Since then, this field of anthropology has matured into a diverse and robust effort exemplified by four perspectives: cultural ecological, cultural interpretative, the critical anthropological perspective, the applied anthropology perspective. Anthropologists and other social scientists are not seeking to become climate scientists, agricultural scientists, or ecologists. Conversely, natural scientists generally are not in a good position to develop a detailed understanding of the ways social systems operate, either at the macro or the micro levels, or how they contribute to climate change and various other forms of environmental damage. Efforts to examine and respond to the adverse impacts of human practice on nature and conversely of environmental degradation on humanity has to be a multidisciplinary one that entails collaboration between natural scientists and social scientists, including anthropologists, archaeologists, sociologists, political scientists, economists, and human geographers. Let us now look into the implications of sustainable policy, development policy. Continual economic growth must be recognized as environmentally unsustainable. A clear cut distinction has to be made between development and growth. Development should aim to provide well being rather than just growth, and its success should be measured in terms of improvements in environmentally sustainable provision of adequate food, clothing, shelter, education, and healthcare to everyone. In order to achieve environmental justice, which would appear to be a precondition for global cooperation on sustainability measures, there needs to be a redistribution of global resources to people in developing countries who are least responsible for environmental change and are often also the least well equipped to adjust to it. Sustainable human development should take into account variation in cultural values and knowledge around the world, both as an asset and as a potential impediment to sustainability programs. Sustainable resource management and carbon pollution mitigation projects must integrate rather than displace or marginalize local and indigenous people and consider their needs and traditional rights. Lastly, let us look into the rituals. Cultural anthropologists like to examine society's rituals because rituals can reveal a great deal about a community's worldview, belief systems, and lived experiences, including the mythology. The term ritual can be hard to define because rituals vary widely and are considered differently in different contexts. However, we could define ritual as an act or series of acts regularly repeated over years or generations that embody the beliefs of a group of people and create a sense of continuity and belonging. Alternatively, a ritual is a sequence of activities involving gestures, words, and objects performed in a sequestered place or time and performed according to a set order. Malinowski wrote that rituals give human beings a comforting sense of control over times of uncertainty. He wrote, "To perform a series of rituals is to feel oneself locking onto a set of cosmic gears which will safely and inevitably crank the individual right on through the perceived danger to safety on the other side." Rituals can be personal to you or they can be communally shared. When a ritual is shared by a community, it usually binds a sense of cultural continuity. For example, if you were baptized in a church and your parents and grandparents were also baptized, then it likely holds a great deal of meaning when you baptize your children. This generational baptism links all of the family together and reinforces the family's commitment to certain set of values. Here are some other examples of religious rituals that build a sense of community. The first one would be Takuhatsu. Takuhatsu is the word used to refer to the alms giving among Zen Buddhist monks. Other Buddhist groups use different words. In most Buddhist traditions, the monks are believed to be servants of the community at large. In order to maintain their residency in the local monastery, the monks are expected to conduct religious ceremonies for the community, offer teachings, and serve. It is traditional for the Buddhist monks to walk through the community and to beg for food. This tradition allows the local community to earn good karma by giving a donation to the monks. The next one would be the Hare Krishna mantra. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness in a modern religious movement that believes is a modern religious movement that believes in the Hindu god Krishna's power. This religion is quite popular in the United States and has a big following in Los Angeles specifically. Members of this religious group put their faith in Krishna for salvation and usually live communally. Rituals also present economic and political opportunities that participants can use to their advantage. In this sense, a culture's rituals don't just demonstrate how the culture is, that is, how people make sense of the world around them. Rituals also are and have likely always been important platforms that people actively use in order to reproduce or transform the relationships, ideas, and social structures that exist in their culture. That is it for today. Hope you found it informative. Thank you.